Are you ready to fight? Abortion is not a woman's right. Hey guys, it's Katie, your host of Faith at Work, and today we're going to talk about abortion. Why not? We talk about abortion all the time. So, as you may know, if you've been following the podcast for a little bit, I personally have never been pregnant, but it's something that's really pulling at me because I have met so many women who have had abortions. I've been just advertised to like crazy with the election about what's really going on with abortion and what rights are being taken away. And something that's really coming up for me is that people are even on the comments saying, you should be fighting for women's rights. And I just wanted to talk about that because women's rights is not abortion rights. So let's just get that really clear. And I think I'll pull Val in or I'll pull you in a little bit. But women's rights, I'm just going to read them. Like if you Google women's rights, it says the rights to live free from violence, slavery, and discrimination, to be educated, to own property, to vote, and to earn a fair and equal wage. Okay? It does not say to kill your baby or to have sex with as many people as you want and use abortion as a tool to not have a baby. So I really want to get down and dirty about this because I think people are misconstruing a woman's right to have an abortion and women's rights. I do not equate them, and I want you to try to convince me in the comments why a right to abort your baby should be on the top of the list for protecting women and how far we have come, because it is not something that we need to focus on, especially for the reasons that you are being told that you need to focus on this: rape, incest, sex trafficking, and the life of the mother. So in Florida, it's really big. In Florida, we had these ads going all day. Women are dying in their cars. Women can't get their rights to an abortion. In Florida, it's a near total abortion ban. Can you please explain to me in the comments what a near total abortion ban is? Because it's not real. It doesn't exist. Those words are playing with your mind, and they're trying to make you think emotionally about this decision of whether you're trying to protect a woman from actually living and dying. And in reality, you're trying to protect someone from being able to murder a baby. So put that in your head. Like, you're being told this is to protect a woman. But what it's really doing is protecting a woman to give her the right to do as she pleases with a baby. So what happened to the baby's rights? And this is where we kind of pull into if a man kills a woman and she's pregnant and he is put in jail for 2 lives being gone, then you're admitting in our legal system that there is a life in that stomach of that woman who's pregnant. And I'm pretty sure, and maybe we'll get some details on this, I'm pretty sure they don't go, oh, well, how many weeks pregnant was she? Right? Like, how many weeks pregnant was the woman to determine if that was an actual life? It's not a thing. It's just if there is a woman who is pregnant and she is murdered, the person is held responsible for 2 lives. So you've got to think about that. And then the thing that I wanted to point out about Florida, so we'll put this stat on the screen right now. So out of over 79,000 abortions, 79,000, 95% of them, when they mark out the exit poll, like the reason that the person had the abortion, it is 74% no reason, just didn't want the baby, just no reason at all, and 21% social and economic reasons. So less than 5% total is where there's a defect, where the woman's life is at risk, where there's rape, where there's incest. Less than 5%. And really, it's like 0.01% for some of these. So this is what the media, this is what liberals are using to try to like get to your heart and say, oh my gosh, like what if your daughter was raped? What would happen? First of all, we need to talk about, we had this in our Bible study, we were talking about why when a girl is raped and she comes in for her rape kit, why are we not talking about plan B? And I'm going to pull Val in because she actually looked into plan B a little bit, but why is plan B not an option, especially not if somebody would keep the baby? If you were just raped, you might not be in a state to decide, right? So I understand that. You can decide up to the 6 weeks, but really it's up to 15 weeks in Florida. So we'll talk about the actual law and we'll give you guys the stats on yes, it's a 6-week abortion ban here, but for these certain things like rape, like incest, like the life of the mother, there's a 15-week time window where someone can make that decision with physician's help. And there's very detailed reasons and things like that. But Val, what were you finding out about Plan B? Because in my head, it's like, if you say, hey, if for some reason you just were raped, and if a baby is born from this, would you keep it? If it's an astounding no, and you gave someone Plan B, then there wouldn't be an abortion. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So the thing about Plan B that was interesting to me is that it's not as effective for any woman weighing over 155 pounds. And this is just over-the-counter stuff. This isn't like, I mean, I don't know if you can go to a physician and get a specific dosage given to you. But the one thing I couldn't figure out, and so I would love if we have any Florida medical professionals or anyone who works in trauma or ER, anything like that, who knows, why isn't it naturally a part of the rape kit? It is in some states. If you come in and say, this horrible thing just happened to me, it has to be offered by law. But from what I could tell in our research quickly, it's not in Florida. So that's something that we're kind of trying to figure out, because exactly, if we just stop it at the source, this wouldn't even be an issue.
And people can fight for if you think Plan B is wrong. I mean, I think you're preventing the life from starting. So whether you think that as soon as someone had sex that they should just wait and see what happens, I mean, then we're basically in the argument of no birth control. I'm not someone who fights for no birth control. I think birth control is a positive. I think that if you're preventing a life from being formed instead of aborting a baby because you do not want to have a baby, whether it's economical, social, if it's just a no reason, like 95% of the abortions are no reason and social or economical, then prevention should always be the number one thing that we focus on. Why would we not? So we will look into that, because I think it's interesting, like when the ads were going out and making it seem like, oh my gosh, these people are not going to be able to have access to an abortion, and these people are going to be literally like having to have the baby of someone that was raping them. And we've talked about this a couple times, and we will post it below as well, that these women who experience this, even in the instances of rape, which is such a small amount, thank God, but the women who experience abortion in general, it's unbelievable what they go through. I mean, I've witnessed so many women speaking about this, and I feel blessed. It's a weird thing to say, that I feel blessed that I never got pregnant, because when my mindset was different, and like I know a lot of women, their mindsets were different when they chose to have an abortion, I would be living with that as well. And God would have made me strong enough to get through it, and he'd forgive me. And I know that, but I do feel blessed that I never had to make that decision. And if you're someone who's having to make that decision and you're just getting really bad information, we want to help you. We want to make sure. I know in Florida, I mean, I was reading a little bit about the law, and the law is actually great in Florida. The law is trying to help women actually see what's going on in their bodies before making that decision. So you have a right to say, I don't want to see the ultrasound, but the ultrasound must be performed. So you are given the right to actually have a physician talk to you about what is in the ultrasound, get you a little glimpse of a heartbeat of your baby, and really decide what you want to do if you had the resources. Because that's the other thing is, if a lot of the women on this list, this 74% list, if they had the resources that made them believe that they would be fine, meaning they would be taken care of, they would be supported, they would have the things that they would need in order to create that life versus take that life away, I know a lot of them probably would. And I think that that's the amazing work that some of these organizations are doing, where they are fighting to pay for the ultrasound to make sure that these women are seeing that their baby is alive and that it is a death, and just changing the language. I want to be part of that, you guys. I want to be part of changing the language around abortion, where it's not just like getting rid of cells, or like a fetus isn't a body, or that's not really a baby. Like, I think those excuses that people are making is trying to make it okay. Or if the language was a little bit more brutal, a little more real, like, do you want to end the life of your baby? I mean, to me, unless you've got some kind of mental thing going on, that verbiage would change the way that you would feel about abortion. I mean, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think language is huge. And I also think Katie touches on a really good point here, which is that a lot of the reason I think this is even an issue, because something about abortion, me personally, I've been racking my brain, is why has this become such a major issue? Because to me, it doesn't seem like it should be. I feel like it's happening so infrequently, or so many women I know wouldn't get one, or if they whatever it may be. I'm not trying to judge or call people out. I think a lot of the issue is that people no longer feel like they have a village. They don't have a community. And when it came to child rearing, almost all of society, there were people helping. There was a community there supporting you and helping you through it. And that's something that we're missing. And I think as it goes into, a lot of people are leaving the church, so they no longer have that support community there. A lot of people are moving away from their families. They don't have any support, and they feel like this is the only option. So I really feel like another way to kind of combat abortion becoming such an issue is just letting women know and creating these spaces that they will have support if they decide to go through the difficult decision to have a child, because it's a lot.
It's crazy. I mean, it's the biggest, the biggest decision you're going to make, right? I think it's funny. I'm in real estate and people are like, the biggest, most important decision you're going to make is what house you're going to buy. And when you actually think about life and what the biggest decisions you make, it's obviously putting God first, your partner, and then a family. You know, are you going to have a family? Are you going to support a family? Or is having your own family not for you, and you're looking into adoption, or you're looking into fostering and things like that, which me and Anthony are starting to kind of get curious about that process now that we've decided we aren't having children. Well, how can we help families? And I just, this last weekend in Palm Beach on the other side in Florida, I went to Hearts for Moms. So we're going to post some information about Hearts for Moms, you guys, because it's this amazing organization that this woman, Angela, she created this. She wasn't a single mom, but she created this organization for single moms where they take away some of the pain points, right? They start to subsidize some of the costs of a single mom. They become the village. They actually it's kind of like they pay, if you think about a single mom who has multiple jobs, right? So she maybe want to be a nurse, but there's no way. How is she going to get into a program to go to school? And she needs to work during those hours. So how is she going to, instead of working, go to school to then better her life so that she can take care of her family? So what they do is they go in and they subsidize rent. They make sure that there's daycare. They do things for these women. It costs about $12,000 a woman to subsidize for the year so that they can join this program and literally change their lives, put themselves in a better financial position through this village. And they do, counseling and how to be a better mom, and how it's just unbelievable. So Hearts for Moms is a link that we'll do. We went to a gala this weekend and it was just so beautiful. And I just want to honor Angela for putting this amazing group of women together to help support these moms, but also the bravery and courage that she had to not even be someone in that situation and to create this. Like, I feel like I stopped drinking alcohol, but I don't necessarily have an addiction that I had to go and get help for and have meetings and things like that. So if I was going to start a center for people who needed that, I feel like I'm not qualified. And that is from the pit of hell, right? That is from Satan telling you that you aren't qualified or you aren't worthy to do the next thing. Because you are who God called. If God's calling you, he's calling you to do that thing. So that's exactly what I want you to start listening to in your quiet time in prayer. And we have a Bible recap study. I say it every time because if you are just looking for a group or a way to get started to really dive into the Word of God, that's going to be your place, is join a group like ours, join a small group, because God's going to call you to do things that you don't think you're worthy of. Today in my reading, like day 30 of the Bible recap, was Moses. And God came to Moses and said, hey, I'm going to basically have you lead my people Israel out of Egypt. And he's like, why me? Repeatedly, why me? How am I going to do that? And God had to tell him, it's not going to be through you. It's going to be because I'm with you, and with me, all things are possible. And that's what we've got to really realize, even with abortion and all these really hard pain points for people, that if we put God first and we show people that with God, all things are possible, then that scared mom who doesn't have a partner, who's pregnant, if she believes that with God, all things are possible and that everything's working for good and that life has a purpose, she's not going to abort that baby. It's a fact. Like, she's not going to abort that baby if she knew that God was with her and that she had a community behind her that's going to make that baby healthy, that's going to make her able, that's going to make sure that she's worthy of being a mom, because you already are through the blood of Jesus and through God. So, you guys, abortion is such a big topic. It's something that is affecting all of us in some way, especially the people who go through it in their early, teens or 20s, and then looking at it now. So we've got tons of groups. We're going to post different groups that you can join, different people that are getting involved. Like, if you're feeling called right now, like, gosh, I need to get involved. I need to help these young women see an ultrasound so that they can make an informed decision. I need to be part of this village that's helping single moms. We're going to have the links below. We love that you're getting into the comments. We know it's controversial, so bring it on, because you know what? We're here for the fight, and abortion is not a women's right. Stay elevated.